Okay, it says 6 o'clock, so I think we'll get going. This is the meeting of the Bond Accountability Committee established to assist in monitoring the progress of executing the 2022 Beaverton School District Bond Program and responsible to the school board. Today's date is September 10th, and the meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be posted to the BSD website. Welcome to the Bond Accountability Committee members, representatives of the school board, facility staff members, and guests from the public. Let me remind everyone to use the microphones when speaking so that what you say will be recorded accurately. Quick review of the agenda. We will have public comment as soon as we're done with the introductions. Have a little bit of Bond Accountability Committee business, and then staff reports covering 4 areas: summer projects update, internship update, budget update, and the financial report. So are there any questions about the agenda or recommendations to it? All right. So welcome, everyone. Since this is our first official meeting for the year, even though we're fortunate that all committee members are returning, we do also have a new school board representative, or at least new for the last few years. So I thought it'd be appropriate to start with self-introductions. So Josh, do you mind if I start with you and we'll work around?
What do you want to know about me?
Just your role in the committee and why you're here.
Yeah, Josh Durham. Today is the first day of me being vice chair. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I volunteered for this because we live in the district. My children go to some of these schools, and I'm passionate about the construction industry being very successful for everyone involved.
My turn. Hi, I'm Lori Baker, and I'm a committee member. This is my second year. And I am here because I live in the district and both of my children graduated from the district. And I've got a finance background, public finance, for about 35 years. So this had an interest to me, so I decided to apply and volunteer.
Hey, good evening, Ryan Bonsbach, bond member, also a public finance background for about 15 years at the federal and local level. And I have 2 kindergartners who just started at Ridgewood Elementary 2 weeks ago. So special meaning to be as part of this committee.
Aaron Watt, I think this is my second term on the committee, and I've got a son that's in the Beaverton School District. Interested in just kind of following and seeing what's going on and monitoring as I'm in the commercial real estate industry.
I'm Randy Smith. I've got a background in design and construction, but my 3 sons all attended elementary, middle, and high school in the district, and my 6 grandkids now, because the last 2 started kindergarten this year, are all in the district as well. So that's why I'm here.
I'm Janice Hill. My background is in education, and 3 of my children graduated from, one from Beaverton, 2 from Maloa many years ago, and we've always been really proud of our schools, and it's fun to be on.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Karen Perez. I am, in real life, I'm the executive director of the Educator Advancement Council at the Department of Education, supporting Oregon's 80,000 educators. And here, I represent the school board. This is my second term on the school board. I previously served on the Bond Accountability Committee. So I've met some of you when you first came in, and some of you that had been here a little bit longer. And just really excited to be back. I have big shoes to fill. Sunita has pepped me up for what you all have been working on, and I know that the $1 million are are not for other things, but excited to be here to support. Thank you.
Thank you all. Then I'm Keith Hobson, so this is my 3rd year on the Bond Accountability Committee, and thanks to Randy's encouragement, I'm now the chair. So I do want to take a minute also to, well, first up, why I'm here. Graduated 2 children from the Beaverton School District, and then served in a similar responsibility areas at Tualatin Hills Park and Rec for 20 years as finance and facilities management there. So I want to take a minute, moving on to BAC business. Oh, first up, actually, I've screwed up already, my first chair. Do we have any public comment? Because that's next on the agenda.
We did not receive any public comment.
Okay, great. Then I can move on. So, in bond accountability business, I want to take a minute to acknowledge Randy for his leadership over the past 2 years. He's set a very high bar, and I hope to come close to it. And I also want to thank Josh for filling the vice chair role this year. So we're going to be leaning heavily on him. The meeting schedule for the rest of the year is in our materials, including this meeting. We only have 4 working meetings this year. So as such, having a quorum at each meeting will be really critical. And it's great we have so many people here today. And I'm hoping with the reduced meeting schedule, our participation will stay that high. So because it's so critical for us to have a quorum at each of these meetings, please identify early if you know you'll have a conflict and let me or let Aaron know so we can plan accordingly. Also, continuing from last year, we have been getting bond financial reports monthly, and I'm assuming that will continue. So on our non-meeting months, I just want to remind everyone to please review those. And if you have any questions, you can forward those questions to Aaron, Josh, or me. Or we can certainly go over them at the next meeting if it's something that is more than just a simple question. So with that, that's all I had for Bond Accountability Committee business. With that, I will turn it over to Aaron for our staff reports.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, first item I had on the agenda here was a summer projects recap. So this summer was a very busy summer for us. I think it was probably our peak construction activity for the whole bond. I had our financial analyst look it up yesterday, and over the 10 weeks of summer, we spent $82 million outdoor. So it was a very busy 10 weeks of summer. So really grateful to our whole team and to all our good construction partners and everybody we were working with who really helped pull it off. Some of these projects were a real heavy lift, and there's a lot of risk associated with some of these. So happy to report that everything finished on time. With no major interruptions to operations. So I'll go through a few of these here, and feel free to stop me if you have questions on any of the other ones. The Aloha High School HVAC project, this is one of the really big ones that we had going on this summer. It's Aloha High School opened in like 1970 or 71 or something like that, and it was all original HVAC, and we're replacing it all and upgrading it to a new current updated system. So the picture on the upper right there is the new boilers, the new high efficiency boilers that replace old cast iron boilers we had in the building. The crews on this project, it was PNC Construction was the general contractor and did a great job. They were, for at least the last 6 weeks of the summer, they were working 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and there was a lot. The areas where they completed, there's all new ceilings, all new LED lights now, and you can hardly tell, I mean, other than the ceilings, you can hardly tell that anything happened in there. So, except for there's cold air in half the building now. So, it went really well. And then, over the course of the year, we'll be doing some other upgrades kind of out of sight. And then next summer, we will come in and address the other half of the building and complete those HVAC upgrades. Yes.
Just a quick question. Somewhere in here, I thought I read that there was a lot of things you found that weren't on the as-built drawings.
Yeah, the as-bills, and this is
Budget-wise, did that affect anything?
It absolutely affected things. They made assumptions and planned certain things based on what they saw in the drawings, and when they pull the ceiling down, and not everything's visible even with the ceiling down because all the duct was in the hallway. There's stuff up above that that we had to do, and it made things a lot more complicated. But fortunately, the contractor was great. Our architect on the project, or our engineer, was great, and they were out there all the time answering questions. And everybody recognized that the quick responses to questions is really critical to keeping the work moving ahead. But it didn't. There were no major cost impacts beyond what we had within the construction contingency.
So is it something that for the other half, you can go looking for some of those things beforehand?
Yes.
Or is it so covered up that you can't really do that?
Absolutely. The day before school started, I said that to the superintendent for PNC, that I was like, I'd be interested to participate in some lessons learned from this summer and see, what you're planning on doing differently next year. And they already had some ideas, so I don't know I don't know what they are yet exactly, but I'm sure it's some more due diligence and just getting in there and looking at things deeper before they have to start construction. So anyway, tough project. Went really well though. Really good team. We did a QBS selection for the prime HVAC subcontractor on the project and the electrician, and I think that was super critical to the success. It's Piper Mechanical and Portland Electrical Contractors, and they did a really, really good job. Okay, Mountain View and Meadow Park Middle School. So these were the two seismic projects that we had going on this summer at Mountain View, which is pictured there. This was the second summer, so we're wrapping up. Work is still taking place out there right now, but the school opened as planned. We're finishing up a gym and a few classrooms. But it went really well. The school looks really great. I think I've presented on this one quite a bit, but the school looks great. It's totally modernized. We painted all the FRP, all the wall paneling throughout, all new ceilings, all new lights. It really looks great and fresh, and it's seismically safe now. And then Meadow Park, a little different layout and everything, but similar scope in that it was a seismic upgrade. We're also doing a roof replacement at the same time, so it's this kind of the same meal deal for all these middle schools where we're doing it over 2 summers. So that one they finished just in the nick of time also, but it largely went pretty well. Cooper Mountain Office Edition. So this was one of the security upgrades projects that we had to create a new office. The office previously was sort of in the back of the school, and they had no way to welcome visitors securely. So we just built a new office right on the front. The project went pretty well. It was slightly delayed with actually just the windows for the new offices. So you can see the picture there on the right. They're all moved into the new offices. They just have plywood over the windows. So that will be happening here in a couple weekends. They'll be putting it in, and we'll be able to walk away from the site. But I've made some considerations for or accommodations for dealing with not having the windows. So we actually have some people out there helping them, with arrival and dismissal. But other than that, the project went really well. Here's a couple modernization projects. The one on the left is at Oak Hills. This is in their library. They had kind of a weird library arrangement before where it was like 2 separate libraries. So we combined them and just to provide a more cohesive experience there. And then on the right is a pre-K playground at Beaver Acres Elementary. These are just a few of the many modernization projects. Here's a couple more. Bathroom upgrades. So these are all user restrooms, Sunset High School and Whitford. These were, totally redone, torn down to the studs, and built back with this all-user concept. So those were the main summer projects. There were other projects happening this summer, but those are kind of the main ones, that were distinctly over the summer. We had a whole lot of other projects going on. Obviously, Beaverton High School. Beaverton High School is going really well. Roofing is substantially complete. The cafeteria parking lot, that was kind of a fun project. In the cafeteria, for those of you who are not familiar with it, on the backside of the cafeteria, there's a loading dock area, and that's where a lot of our major utilities are coming into the site. And so there were some grade changes that had to happen. This is actually the little picture down here. It's this area. That's where the generator is at, and a lot of the site utilities are coming in here. This area up adjacent to the building, there was a pretty major grade change with this, with putting in all the utilities and everything. So we actually had to shore up this whole side of the canopy of the building while they did all of this work. And that was all done this summer. So this is all being used right now, but went really well. But Beaverton High School is going well. It's on track to be complete next summer. What's our substantial completion date, Jeff? Like June or something? Yep. So we'll spend the summer furnishing the building and then moving everybody's belongings over from the old building, and then we'll begin tearing down the old building. So, and we are planning, by the way, we're planning on a tour of Beaverton and Raleigh Hills at our end of year tour. So the one in June will go to both these sites. Raleigh Hills is progressing well, and it's scheduled to be done in January, and it's on track for that. So going well there. This is the Oak Hills Classroom Edition, which is under construction. You can see where it's framed up over here. This is the Classroom Edition, and it'll be done in December. Over here on the right was a new covered play structure we installed this summer, and it is complete and operational. Aloha High School. Yeah, you'll recall we have a big athletic turf project there where we're converting all of the softball and baseball fields to artificial turf, as well as installing a new field, which is a new soccer field. It's directly adjacent to the baseball field. It's just an area where it was just grass before. So they'll have a very large artificial turf field here to be able to use, and that'll be done in December. On the right here is the stadium field, which that was completed over the summer. That was a deferred maintenance project, and it was just turf was at end of life, so we're just replacing it. Okay, summer internship update.
I have one quick question on that.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
So, Aloha was a HVAC project, and I
Yes.
saw another HVAC project, and then I saw Sunset on there. How many, maybe is an upcoming project? Sunset?
Yes,
HS,
correct.
HVAC. So how many schools in the district remain that don't have like modernized HVAC systems?
Good question. I don't have an exact answer for you when you say modernized. All schools have some degree of air conditioning, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're modernized because, there's some schools that are 20 years old, It depends on what you mean by modernized, but I would say to you that Sunset High School has air conditioning in about half the school, which is nowhere near adequate on hot days. This summer, we completed HVAC at West TV Elementary School. That was the last school without any AC. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape once Sunset is done. But it's a continuous thing. And we'll talk a little bit more about Sunset later, actually. But we're getting to the point where a lot of buildings, HVAC systems are like at the end of their life cycle. So this is why I'm going to keep pushing on deferred maintenance, needing to invest continuously in that, basically forever, because there's a lot of these schools they're starting to be, 30, 40 years old, and that's kind of when you see these systems start to age out. So I don't have an exact answer for you, but it's something we have been talking about is kind of, almost a report card of how are the HVAC systems at each school. We have some of that information in the FCA, but putting it in an easily digestible format is something we want to put together. Okay. Any other questions on the projects this summer? I think in summary, it was a great summer. A lot of work took place and went well. Okay, summer internship. This slide has a whole bunch of text on it. You don't have to read all of it. On the right here, these were just some fun quotes from the students that we had. We had them all do like exit surveys after just to see, what they thought of the experience, and they provided us a lot of fun comments. But I'm going to show you guys a video that Nate put together, and hopefully it works.
I hope to walk away with more understanding what I want to do in the future. It allowed me to experience so much more than what I expected. The experience shaped me as a person, really.
I hope to have some industry experience to see whether this is a good career for me. I thought it was great. I learned so many things about the construction process. I didn't really have it as my top list item at the start, but now it's definitely, I might go in college to, even though I want to be an engineer, take some classes for construction, because I think this field is really awesome.
I hope to walk away with some job experience, some work in the field of architecture and engineering, so that I can carry that on to future jobs or into college.
I learned about kind of the process of things and how every project has multiple stages. Like it has the plan, it has the design, has the actual construction. I learned that each of those steps takes a lot of thought and is really important to the final product.
I hope to walk away with number one, just experience, knowing how it's like in the industry, how people communicate with each other. It was a very good experience coordinating with external contractors as well as vendors. It taught me professional communications, how to be clear when communicating, as well as when to follow up when necessary.
I am trying to major in civil engineering. That's what I'm trying to major, so I want to see if I actually like my major and hope to get an experience out of it.
I was initially planning to do civil engineering at OSU, but now with this internship, now I kind of consider I might go from civil engineer and then going to project management or construction management.
I had a lot of fun coming in every day this summer, and you really learn a lot from the experience. It's really cool. I would definitely do it again.
I love my team. Everyone there was super helpful and taught me everything I wanted to know.
This is a great opportunity.
I love this experience because I had a lot of fun doing it. I don't think most people can really say that for a job where they had fun doing it.
I love my team. Everyone there was super helpful and taught me everything.
Just mute that. Well, as a proud Oregon State CEM graduate, I was super happy to see Ryan switching from civil engineering to CEM. That's good. Yeah. Anyway, this was great. We had 18 interns this summer. 6 of them were working with us. The other 12 were working with. I listed all the partners we had there, but it was a great program. Major shout out to Jason, who basically ran the program here, and it went well. We're gonna connect here on what went well, what didn't go well. What are we gonna do differently next summer? I think we may hire a few less next summer. Probably it will be one of the things we'll do, but it's certainly something we intend to continue into the future. Okay, this is sort of the meat of my presentation here this evening, which is the budget update. So last year this is very reminiscent of last year, and it continues with everything we talked about last year, and I predicted we would be talking about last year, which was we have a large contingency balance, around 50 million, a big chunk of that should really be going towards deferred maintenance projects and seismic upgrade projects. So we'll talk in more detail, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. So here's our current budget status, and hopefully you can read all of this. So our current bond budget is $797 million. Our current contingency is $51 million, and of the current budget, we have paid to date $370 million, which means we're really close to having spent about half of the bond. Excuse me. So committed and paid to date, that is work, that's either done. Well, it's work that's done and work that is under contract is about 72% of the bond. So you can see that we're starting to get pretty far along in the bond here. Committed, we have a contract in place. And once we have a contract in place for a project, usually the risk is a lot lower at that point. Most of the risk is pre-contract before you've bid things out and kind of know where you're at. And then the uncommitted amount in the bond is $223 million. So that's money we haven't contracted yet. Also includes the contingency. So that $51 million is part of that uncommitted balance. So in order to understand, what we're talking about here with the remaining contingency and where we can allocate it or not, we looked at all of the project categories we have in the bond. And from our perspective, I've highlighted the ones that have any type of budget concern or risk overall. So Beaverton High School and Raleigh Hills right now do not have significant budget risks for the bond. Both projects are nearing completion, and both projects have project level contingencies and contingencies within the CMGC contracts. And when you look at, like with Beaverton, for instance, most of the remaining risk on the project is not with the construction of the new building at this point. I mean, the new building is bought out. Most of the risk will be in demolishing the old building and any unforeseen conditions, which we are expecting a number of. And so, we have contingencies in the project to account for that, and so does Skanska. So when I say there's a low risk, it's because we're looking at those remaining contingency balances within the project. We're looking at the outstanding risks that we anticipate and, accounting for unanticipated risks, and we feel that the projects are well covered at this point. So some that aren't, Allen Transportation, I think the risk to the project is low at this point, but we haven't bid the project yet. We're getting to the point of being done with design and getting really close to bidding the project out. So there's some minor risk associated with that. Certainly tariffs are concerning when we look at this project, which will be a pre-engineered metal building. Steel tariffs have been pretty brutal lately, so we're not quite sure where that's going to come in, and there's some risk there. But it's not going to be. The risk isn't so huge that it's going to impact the overall bonds necessarily. But a couple other projects, there are some risks, or when we consider the budgets for these projects, we don't think there's adequate budgets to complete what we want to complete. So the first one I listed there is physical education and athletics. That's the project group, and the specific project is the Barnes Gym addition. I'll talk more about that here in a minute. And then we have our seismic upgrades projects and the deferred maintenance projects, where we know that we need more budget to complete all of these. So here is sort of a summary. This kind of paints a picture of the challenge with these seismic upgrades projects. When we set up the bond, we didn't have a whole lot of estimate detail because we didn't have designs on these projects. We just knew that we had these 6 middle schools that we wanted to upgrade seismically. There wasn't really even a definition of what a seismic upgrade meant necessarily, like how much of the building is being upgraded, what level are you upgrading it to, that sort of thing. And what we really didn't anticipate was all the other stuff that we would need to be doing while we were doing these seismic upgrades. So we had budgeted $40 million. That was based off of an estimate that we had done for Whitford Middle School, just for seismic only. But we also assumed that we would be getting some state grant money for these seismic upgrades, because we had, up until that point, we had been pretty successful in getting grants from the state. So it's the SRGP Seismic Resiliency Grant Program. They'll grant up to $2.5 million per project. I mean, just prior to going out for the bond, we had just gotten 3 of those. So Cooper Mountain, Beaver Acres, and Aloha High School, we received the $2.5 million grants. Well, fast forward to today, we've been skunked. We've applied every round, and we've not gotten a single one. And when we had assumed we'd get a couple at least. So that has been a challenge for us budget-wise. But it also is a reflection of the condition of our buildings, I would say, too. There's a pretty limited pool of money in the state each round. It's like 50, 60 million. That's all going to unreinforced masonry buildings across the state, so a lot of smaller school districts. And when you look at, they do a benefit cost index for these schools when you submit these applications. Ours just aren't as bad as some of these other ones, so we're not a priority, which is a good thing. But over on the right there, when you look at the projects that are either done or nearing completion or under contract, there's a pretty big difference there between the ones that we have under contract and the ones we don't. So you can see Cedar Park, Whitford, and Highland Park right now have $6.6 million allocated. So that's not going to be enough to complete those projects when you look at the other ones. In particular, when you consider the 4 of those park middle schools, which Whitford is the other park middle school, they're all the exact same floor plan. So we know that what happens at Cedar Park and Meadow Park is going to carry through the rest of the projects. Yes.
So just so I'm clear, the numbers you have there are what the current expected spending is for the top three, right? In other words, Meadow Park's half done, but you didn't spend $25 million to get to half done. You got
Correct.
$25
That's
million
the-
to get 100% done.
Yep, thanks for the clarification. That's the current line item budget for the project. So each of these, there's nuance to each of these too, right? So like Five Oaks was quite a bit less than Mountain View and Meadow Park. It was, the scope there was actually quite a bit more limited because in the last bond we had done a pretty major upgrade to the school. So it was a lot of the deferred maintenance type stuff that we are having to add at all the other schools. It just didn't have, Five Oaks didn't have that work because it was already done. So it was a lot less scope. Mountain View, it already had a new roof on it, but there was a lot of interior work that took place here, a lot of electrical, a lot of replacing switchgear and panels all throughout the school, some some HVAC upgrades, all new ceilings, all new lights and finishes. So really a lot went into that one. Meadow Park included a new roof. So the price tag for that new roof is a lot. I mean, it's like, I forget the exact number, but it's like 8 or 9 million just for the roof. And that's obviously a significant piece of the cost on that project. So Cedar Park is what is sort of our imminent need and part of why we're talking about it here tonight. We're planning on starting Cedar Park this upcoming summer. And the current budget on Cedar Park being 6.6 million, we need to increase that. And the cost for that one's going to be pretty darn close to Meadow Park. It's very similar in scope. It does have a roof replacement just like Meadow Park. Whitford and Highland Park, we are not starting until the year after. We'll probably do those two concurrently. I'm not including those two as part of the budget tonight, the budget request tonight, because I don't have cost information on those yet. It is worth keeping in mind though, they should be less. Both Whitford and Highland Park have new roofs on them, or newish roofs, so that those projects will not include roof replacements. So the ultimate cost to do those projects should be less when we get to doing those. So our bond program budget for seismic upgrades. For Cedar Park, we're projecting an increase of 18 million for that project. So that's a lot of deferred maintenance work. It's not, I mean, it's hard to say this is seismic, this is deferred maintenance, this is modernization, because we do it all together. But a big chunk of it is the roof, a big chunk of it is lighting, and just all the other stuff that goes into that. Whitford and Highland Park, as I mentioned, should be quite a bit less just because of the fact that they don't need roofs, but we're going to wait on both those until next year. We'll do this same go around next fall. Okay.
Aaron, before
Yes.
you move on, so even though you're not asking to make the budget adjustments for Whitford and Highland at this point, knowing that those are coming, you're leaving enough in reserve in the contingency so that they will be covered when it gets to be that time.
Yep. Yeah, well, we can look at that when we get kind of the
Okay.
bottom
We'll
line,
jump
but
in.
yes, that is a consideration, absolutely. It's, it's worth mentioning on the seismic upgrades too, if this wasn't clear already, we can scope these projects down. I mean, I can go into a middle school and upgrade it seismically to a lower level or to fewer areas in the building, but what we're doing in these price tags you're seeing is we're doing it the right way, like what should be done, And if it comes down to it, I could accomplish a seismic upgrade in middle school for $6.6 million. It's just not going to be apples to apples with the other ones that we've been doing. Okay, deferred maintenance. So obviously, ton of overlap between deferred maintenance and seismic upgrades. In fact, this is a picture of Meadow Park this summer. So this is this is the primary way where we take care of capital projects. It's the only way, really. And it includes a lot of things. The bond budget for deferred maintenance started at 120 million, and we have effectively spent most of that budget now. So we are looking as part of this budget increase to increase the deferred maintenance budget, basically just for this year, for projects for next summer. So list of projects we have coming up, roofing projects at Kinnaman and Terra Linda, which I didn't include this, but both those do include seismic upgrades as well. So they're like partial seismic upgrades, because when you're doing the roof, that's the best time to go in and do roof level seismic strapping and so forth. So we would be doing that as part of those projects. Paging upgrades, we're replacing and upgrading to the modern systems, paging at most all of our schools, everything except for the new schools. I have a weird typo there. But Sunset High School HVAC is missing a space. This is one, this is in our deferred maintenance budget. It's currently we have, I don't have a slide on this. Shoot, I should have included more info. So right now in the budget, if you look in the packet, in the budget, you'll see Sunset High School listed in there, and we have budgeted $8 million for HVAC upgrades at Sunset High School. So we have, over the past 6 months, been working on some due diligence studies and conceptual designs and so forth, looking at, okay, well, the $8 million was kind of just a wag, but now we have actual good cost information from our architects and engineers and our construction partners, looking at what the cost of that HVAC is going to be. And so based on the recent study, in order to do it, we need an extra $7.2 million to do the HVAC work at Sunset High School. So for the total of like $15 million for the total project budget. And then there's just other maintenance projects we have going on. I couldn't list them all here, but we do all sorts of stuff, a lot of site improvements, a lot of smaller HVAC projects that just continually keep these systems up and running across the district. And so the included in the package is $15.5 million going towards deferred maintenance projects. So another one, this is kind of a fun one to talk about, is Barnes Elementary School. So in the bond, there's a commitment to do a new gym and cafeteria at Barnes. The cafeteria at Barnes is located in the basement of the school and is really, really old. I mean, that section of the building, I think, is like 100 years old at Barnes. And nobody likes, eating lunch down in the basement. And just the systems down there are failing. Like, we replaced the dishwasher this summer because the whole, the pipes were rotted out. There was mold behind the walls. Everything you can think of, it was failing. And that it's kind of true across the whole cafeteria there. The gym is small, and the main reason the gym was included is because it's seismically unsafe. When you look at our seismic report, it's a collapse hazard there. So the bond project is to do a new gym and new cafeteria and kitchen. So the bond includes $7.5 million for this project, but as we have over the last year started digging into, actual design and actual cost estimates, we're thinking we are probably short by about half. So we're recommending increasing that budget in order to do it. We're going to do a little bit different procurement strategy on this one, which is going to be fun. We're going to do it as a design build project. This is all of our other big projects we've done in the bond, we procured through these master contracts. So we have CMGC partners working on them. This one we're going to end up going out with a new procurement on, and it's creating we're going to get a lot of strong competition for this project. Probably going to do a fixed price design build solicitation. So instead of bidding price, the design build teams are going to be bidding scope. So they're going to submit their designs to us, and we'll evaluate and select a successful proposer. But should be good. Looking forward to that. But it needs a little bit more money. The current budget just won't support much. So some other considerations. We will be getting a lot of money back to the bond from Energy Trust of Oregon and SB 1149. So when I show you all those projects where we replace the ceilings and all the light fixtures throughout, like Aloha, Mountain View, we get reimbursements for those, and they can be pretty significant. I forget the exact amount, but at Aloha, it was pretty close to $500,000 we'll get back in reimbursements just for doing the LED lights. So obviously, there's also operational cost savings that come along with that also. Interest earnings, this will be a really big one. We haven't included any projections in the budget or anything like that, but if you look at how we performed over the first half of the bond, we received $28 million in interest earnings, and I don't think it would be unreasonable to assume something like that or half of that, maybe, I don't know. Interest rates are still really high. We just did the bond sale earlier this year, so the bulk of that bond sale is sitting in these investment accounts right now. And then project savings. So as we're starting to finish projects, we're starting to have some come in under budget. The Stoller Middle School project just finished $1 million under budget, so that $1 million can just be returned to contingency. There are other projects that we expect we'll see savings on. I imagine we'll see savings on Beaverton High School, but still a little bit too early to say that for sure. So this is the roll-up of all the things I just mentioned there. The $1 million coming back from Stoller, the $18 million going towards Cedar Park, the $15.5 million for deferred maintenance, and then $5.5 million to Barnes. So $38 million coming from contingency going to these projects. Which leaves $13.1 million, which is interesting because when you compare that contingency number to our uncommitted work that I talked about earlier, that's 5.9%. And when you look at the original bond program, before we ever committed a dollar to anything, our original bond program contingency was at 5.8. So we're actually really close to where we started at the beginning of the bond, while able to do a whole lot more with it. So, okay, so this is what Keith here mentioned earlier, some future considerations. This does not address the Whitford and Highland Park. I do expect we'll need a budget increase there, and I expect we'll need more in deferred maintenance projects too. But given, where we're at with some of the other considerations for additional funding, I don't think it's unreasonable, and I don't think there's a significant risk here. So our recommendation is going to be to the school board that we go ahead and do this transfer and are able to do these projects here over this next year. And with that, I am available for questions.
Anyone have any questions?
You probably don't know the answer, but roughly, so we're looking at 13.1 million left over after that recommended transfer. What's across all the projects, project level contingency? Are we matching that 13 million?
That's a good question. There's
I have to answer it tonight.
I should have had that ready. There's more than $13 million in project level contingency, I would say, across all the projects.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty close to that.
Feels like it would be somewhere in there.
Yeah. And that's owner project level contingency. When you look at contractor, like CMGC contingency, it's a lot more than that. So that's part of why I feel comfortable.
It's important context, I
It
think,
is.
for the conversation, right? Because there's another level down below what we're talking about that should address most of the project level stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, really good question.
You stole my question.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to confirm, we do have project level contingency in addition to
Yeah.
this. No, it's good.
Yep.
Good question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I thought
The current contingency amount and your projections, this doesn't include future interest earnings that we will continue to earn on the unspent bond funds, right?
That's correct.
So
there's
that could be an
zero
additional,
included.
so-
In fact, we've probably accrued interest over the last month that we haven't reported yet. So
Okay. So it's not like the 13.1 is a fixed number. It will grow
Yeah, that's, with this slide here, that's what I'm saying. I think it'll grow a lot. But that's what it is. That's, if you look in the bank account today, that's what's there.
Sorry.
So it sounds like on Beaverton High School, you have contingency for when you start tearing down the buildings. What about time contingency? I mean, what if you uncover a sacred burial ground, or under the boiler room, there's a bunch of something fouling the soil or something like that that you're going to have to address?
Maybe I'll ask Jeff to speak to what the schedule detail looks like for next year, but I think it's conservative in that we have a whole year to do the demolition. So typically on these this is a different scale than we've done in the past, but you can demolish a building in 2 or 3 months. So there's going to be a lot of abatement on Beaverton High School. We know there's shooting ranges and swimming pools and all sorts of stuff.
I mean, you mean abatement in the building?
In the
not
building.
Not necessarily in the ground?
Yeah, we're anticipating in the ground there being abatement. Okay. The last several schools we demolished, we had underground abatement too, but those were usually done within 2 or 3 months. So,
okay.
Beaverton will take longer than that, but I don't expect it to take significantly longer than that. And we will have the whole year afterwards to construct the parking lot. I mean, none of it is really like critical path to operations. They will be operating, next year is going to be tough for the Beaverton High School community because they're going to have very limited parking. I mean, they're operating with very limited parking right now, but, we will turn over the parking lots as soon as we're able to complete them. But it's not a critical risk, I wouldn't say. Any other questions or concerns?
Just one, on deferred maintenance, I was just looking for that number. I think there's still some in the unallocated deferred maintenance. Are you leaving that there, or are you going to use that?
Yeah, we're going to use that. Yeah, there's not much.
It was about 2 million.
Yeah, I don't see the exact balance, but yeah, we're not planning on. We will use all of it. Yeah.
So the recommendation, the school board will make this approval. We're not going to vote on this specifically, but if there are any concerns, we should raise those. Otherwise, I think the consensus would be that we agree this is prudent and reasonable. Any concerns? All right. No, I agree. I think you're far enough along here. There's always weighing of risk and the risk of doing nothing and holding on to the funds.
Yeah, and and these funds are going towards completing projects that are bond commitments too. So it's not, none of these are added projects really. It's just what's needed to complete commitments, right? So.
Okay. So I'm not seeing any concerns. I think you have a thumbs up.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you all. And next, Jason will give the financial report. And I will attempt to do it here. I never figure this out. All right, here we go.
All right. So we'll start with the executive summary. From a budget perspective, I think everything that's here on the screen, Aaron has already kind of talked through with everyone. So that has to do with kind of our current program contingency, how much of the bond is contracted and committed, and then our potential savings on Stoller Middle School of $1 million. From a schedule perspective, like Aaron said, everything wrapped up on time and didn't have any operational impact to our facilities. And as we note here, a lot of our projects, in fact, all of our projects for 2026 are already either designed or almost completing design and heading out to bid. So we're in a really good spot for a good summer of 2026. As far as challenges and opportunities, we're seeing a huge increase in interest in our projects. And so one example, as Aaron noted, is Barnes. Just the amount of interest from from design build contractors and architectural partners, I would say is like triple or quadruple what we've seen in the past. So we expect that is also occurring in the submarket and that's favorable to our project. So I think that even for the projects that are currently uncommitted or not contracted, we're in a pretty good spot for having projects come in on budget and with lots of competition. Next slide. Let's see. So for the financial statement, so like Aaron kind of mentioned this a little bit ago, what you're not seeing on here, there's not a lot of change from our previous financial statement. What you're not seeing is that this next financial statement will include the interest for the past quarter. And the interest rates are still really favorable right now. And so a lot of the investments that have been made, including on the bond that was the bond sale that we recently had, will start to show up in the coming months, each quarter. So just keep an eye out for that. That'll, as we've done in the past, that will all go towards the program contingency. And so that will tick up as it drops down, it'll tick up again. So we'll keep you guys posted. We do tend to highlight that whenever that shows up on one of the reports. Let's see. As we've done in the past, I won't go through these line by line. At the top right corner, you'll see the key. So if it's in yellow, it was a change to the budget. So sometimes that's moving funds from one project to another so that we can contract those as part of a single project instead of bidding them out separately. In some cases, it's adding funds to a project, like maybe a modernization project had not allocated all of its funds to the project. And so you're seeing some of that show up here. The sort of flesh tone color is a correction to a previous report. And I think we just have one line in here that we had just omitted on a previous report, which is the landscaping line, 11.007. And then the last, not on this report, but a couple pages down, the green, as a reminder, is that at some point we have to let things fall off of our report. So the green just represents this the last time you'll see that on this report, and in future reports it won't be there. Let's see. And if there are any specific questions, I know that we try to send these out, even when we don't have BAC meetings, we do try to send out the financial reports or point you to them on the website. We know that you're not out there looking at the website every day or every week even. So we'll make sure to keep sending those out to everyone. If questions pop up, kind of like Keith had said, please reply back and let us know, like, hey, we noticed a discrepancy, or if you have a question about a specific line, we're happy to respond back and provide some visibility to what change occurred there. On the contingency transfer, the big change there was just that the only item that's changing there is we're going to drop line 10 off of the report. Let's see, other budget transfers, line 156. Let Aaron catch up first. There we go. Line 156 actually tells me it was just not included in a previous report. Let me see what she said here. Yeah, it was just missed on the last report. So this is us getting it on here so that you guys can see what the change was there. But I don't have any other significant items to note under the financial report piece. We'll go to the equity next. So from an equity perspective, I'll really focus on that right-hand chart, if you will. We continue to see solid equity numbers, so we're over 16.5%. If you guys remember, maybe around this time last year, or late in 24, we were seeing that number dip, and so we took some corrective action and improved our accounting methods that we were using to track our projects, and we've seen steady gains in that. We don't want to just rest and assume that will continue to be the case. We actively pursue this with each of our CMGCs. That's a great contracting method that allows us to work with them to make sure we get a broad range of partners. Any questions on that?
Yeah, that increase from last year is great to see. Would you attribute that more to change in measurement or change in outcomes?
Well, the dip was a result of change in measurement. We got really strategic and really focused in on how we were measuring things, and our reporting got much more in depth with our contracting partner. We don't pay for a software or special services to support this, so our financial analyst within the department spent a great deal of time kind of working through it and finding a solution that allowed our contractors to provide the input we needed without making it onerous or difficult for them to do all this tracking. So that dip was a result of like, okay, we're being real about what the numbers are now. And the increase is largely attributed to staff paying a lot more attention to it and working with our contracting partners. Has a lot to do with Beaverton High School and Skanska's commitment to driving that diversity within the subcontracting base. And then we've had a couple of really great projects that have been led by COVID generals, and those numbers are reported in a broader sense versus like maybe the subcontractor level. So all of those things contribute to it. Once Beaverton's done, we'll really have to keep an eye on this because we won't have this huge project that's going to drive that number. But the reality is, it's still, when you think about the overall value, we report each month based on the amount we pay. So it's still a portion of it. So as long as we do a good job keeping up with our partners, we should still see solid numbers. Let's see. The next slide is really about just our certified payroll. It's always interesting to see how many labor hours show up here, and it's kind of fun to track this over the bond. Apprenticeship hours continue to see steady inclines, and I don't expect that to change. I think that our contracts are written in a way that require our partners to do that, and generally I think that the market really supports this. I don't see that we will have trouble in this area.
I can do them. A lot of this is going to duplicate what I said earlier. Yeah, Beaverton High School. This summer we did the stadium turf and lighting, so that was good. That's complete now. Mentioned the roof being done. Right-of-way work. So this is work on Farmington as well as Erickson's. I think this has been the project team's greatest headache, dealing with all our utility providers and just the mess of utilities underneath the streets that we didn't really anticipate. There's conflicts with duct banks and power mains and all sorts of stuff. Ziply, big challenge there. But here's some pictures. So the theater on the left and the track and the gym on the right. But project's coming along well. Raleigh Hills Elementary. So let's see. I'm just going to read some of these things. The roof gable installation. This is a design feature that has the solar panels are all mounted to it and everything on the roof, and it's meant to give kind of that small school community feel, just with the shape of the building. Brickwork is almost done. A lot of brick on the school, so that's really good. They're going to town on the interior of the building. You name it, and they're doing it. There's different, there's a progression of phasing across the whole building. So a lot of areas are really nearing completion and finishing, rough in other areas. Cover play is underway, and the cover play structure is scheduled to be erected here pretty soon. Sidewalks along Shoals Ferry have been installed. The new utility connections are done. Are new signals done too, right? Is that up and running?
It's not up and
Okay. Oh, wow, okay, good. But, you know, the project's tracking well. It says scheduled completion next fall, just because that's when it opens, but it's actually done before then. So here's some pictures. Allen Transportation, you want to speak to this one, Jason?
Yeah, sure. So Allen Transportation, we actually just got the DD drawings on Friday, and we're working through DD pricing. We're pretty close, as of SD, we're really close to being on budget and more than likely delivering the full program that the transportation department is looking for versus maybe a reduced program. So that's really positive news. And we should have our land use completeness review to us hopefully Monday. That's what we're being told is Monday. So land use is moving along.
Eric, do you want to give us the update on Oak Hills?
Yeah. So, like Aaron mentioned earlier, the top picture there, our pre-manufactured metal building exterior cover play is complete, being used. All of the site work is complete, kind of out in the field. Some upgrades we did out there for drainage and upgrading their kind of running walking path around their field is done. For the addition itself, we're fully framed out. They're getting cover inspections and should be putting up insulation and starting to finish the walls inside. Our roofing is 90% done, with the exception of kind of our connection from the old building to this new addition. Really moving along well. Contractor's been going to town on it, and we're on track for a December turnover. Cooper Mountain, also as Aaron mentioned, we're just kind of waiting until next week when our fire-rated storefront comes in, and then we'll be wrapping up, putting in the last pieces along the front there, and then some adjacent finishes interior, but the staff is in there using the space and loving having a new office that's up front to greet people. So.
Low High School already talked about quite a bit already, all these projects, but going well. Some outdoor learning projects. These are upcoming projects. Well, I guess it's a combination. Aloha Huber Park, we have a new playground scheduled to go there. New playground and covered play next summer, so we're in design development for that. McKinley, it's kind of the same thing. We're doing a new covered play structure there and adding a pre-K play area. And then project that we added last year was at Capitol Center, adding a field there. So that is in design, and that will be taking place next summer as well. Talked a lot about seismic upgrades here. Cedar Park will be starting next summer, and then, next summer, obviously, first year of Cedar Park, second year of Meadow Park, and we'll be fully done at Mountain View and Five Oaks. Modernization project is going really well. I would say this is one area where when we do another bond, we might look to keep this project going quite a bit. This is just a reminder, this is where we had a budget allocated to every single school, and we're able to go in and see what is needed at the school. And so, I didn't include any pictures of it, but like El Monica Elementary was one where we did use their modernization funds to do a whole new office this year. The old office was just really unwelcoming. There was not enough room to, when families would enter, there was not room for more than like 3 people to stand there. So we took up some area in the staff lounge. We moved the principal's office into the staff lounge, basically, and then opened up the office to include the old principal's office. And the new office is just much nicer, much more welcoming and friendly, and room for them to operate there. But stuff like that taking place at all these schools. Oh yeah, there we go. The one on the right. That's a picture of El Monica. So that's the staff lounge after the project. Quite a bit of deferred maintenance took place here over the summer. So we did stage improvements at Southridge High School, Whitford Middle School, and Cedar Park. And then next summer we'll be doing the other ones. We did landscape and site work improvements. A lot of paving projects, where concrete was failing or asphalt was failing, fixing those things. Replaced dishwashers at quite a few schools. And then obviously talked about Sunset High School a little bit in the design process for that. Completed the addition of air conditioning at West Swalton View. Did some roof work on the gym at Southridge, and then that was this last summer, and then these other 3 are roof projects coming up next summer. Security upgrades. I spent a lot of time on security upgrades. We're doing security upgrades at every single school, so this is cameras, access control, and intrusion, and these projects are a big lift, but they're going well, and they're going to keep going well for a couple more years here as we go through. We finished all the middle schools. We finished the work of the middle schools, except Conestoga Middle School, Conestoga and Tumwater. Those are the last 2 to come online. Paging, we're upgrading the paging systems at all schools. We're doing that concurrent with the security upgrades projects, just because the notification is such a huge part of the security systems in the school. We're improving the distributed antenna system. We're also improving fencing kind of as we go along. So there's a lot taking place here everywhere. And then nutrition services, we have the Beaver Acres Elementary School cafeteria project. So this is one we talked about last summer. This was a new project that we added to the bond. So this is, Eric, can you give us an update on Beaver Acres?
Excuse me, yeah. So we have a CMGC on board. We are 100% through our design. We're just doing one more kind of back check. We've gone through and done our completeness review with our land use site development permitting and submitted for the full building permit now. So we're pretty much done with design. We'll be reaching a GMP early in the new year, like in January is when we expect to execute the GMP for this. Construction will start this coming summer, and it'll extend because we're doing a new kitchen cafeteria here. So renovating the old kitchen and cafeteria, turning that into a classroom and office space. So once this new kitchen cafeteria is done, then we'll transfer the use and then do the renovation of the old area. So we'll kind of have, it's almost a little bit of a phased construction because we can't get rid of the old kitchen until we're done with the new kitchen. But so that's kind of our schedule, and we're excited to get under our GMP with our contracting partners here pretty soon.
Okay, that's it for the financial report there. See if I can get out of it. Oh, man. Oops. This is horrible. Sorry, I was struggling to see. Okay, I'm not going to show all these, but I do want to give a shout out to Nate, who's in the control booth there in the back. But hopefully you guys follow us on social media, because he has been producing a lot of really, really good videos. I always learn something watching his videos. So he does a really good job. He's really goes in and finds all sorts of unique aspects to these stories that you wouldn't think of necessarily. So Lots of really good stuff here. I linked just the last group of them, but he's usually got a video coming out every week or so. So definitely give that a follow. And these are all links, so you can, with the materials I sent out, you can go ahead and check them out if you haven't seen them already. Here is the schedule for the upcoming meetings, and we're available for any last-minute questions if you might have them. I'm also looking for topics for the November meeting, if you guys have any topic suggestions.
All right. Does anyone have any topic ideas at this point for either next meeting or any of our future meetings? Well, I wouldn't expect you to come up with one on the spot, but if you think of anything, or please do think about it, and if there's things that are of interest, reach out to Aaron, or certainly you can reach out to me, and I'll forward them to Aaron. But we want to make sure that the topics being presented are the things that we're all interested in. But that was a very robust report tonight. Thank you. A lot going on.
Yeah, we're way ahead of schedule here, too, so
Yeah.
there we go.
Any other questions before we wrap up? So again, as Aaron pointed out, our next meeting is November 19th. Please consider topics that might be of interest for that meeting, and because you don't want to leave it to me. Otherwise, they'll be financial and they'll be boring. So anyway, unless there's any other questions, I think we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.